The Marine Corps was my first true sense of family. I had a very rough childhood. I was surrounded by lots of violence and drugs and alcohol, and I was homeless and in and out of the foster care system. I was alone, essentially. And the Marine Corps was a sense of family and fraternity that I had never experienced. And so making the decision to leave that was challenging. After the military, I attended Brown University, where I earned a degree in environmental studies with a focus on sustainability and development. I now live in Boston, where I work as a management consultant for a global consulting firm called Bain & Company. In my mind, I always knew I wanted to get a college degree, so it was just a matter of if and not when. And so keeping that in mind, the longer that I stayed in the Marine Corps, if I were to sign another contract for another 4 or 5 years, I thought that the odds of me going back to college after that decreased as time went on. On the other hand, I could leave after my first enlistment, go to college, get a degree, and if I wanted to jump back into the Marine Corps, I could return as a commissioned officer or do a lateral move to a different job. There are plenty of opportunities to plug back into the military community. And so that was the decision that went into, or the logic that went into making the decision to leave and pursue a degree from Brown. I think of 3 sort of key themes that I've noticed throughout my journey, and I'll share those with you here. The first is this idea of self-advocacy and ownership. All right. Once I had my mind made up, I owned that decision, and I took it upon myself to figure out how to make it happen. I didn't know anybody that went down this route. Where I come from, people don't go to schools like Brown University, and people don't join the Marine Corps, quite honestly. And so I was in uncharted waters here, and that's not to say that I had to do it all on my own. I had help, but I had to seek the help and manage those relationships and really just own that process. The second theme I would say is plain and simple. It's just proper planning. This was no haphazard journey, and if you want to do it right, it needs to be planned and meticulously planned. From the day I got my DD 214 all the way through getting my acceptance letters and deciding which school I wanted to attend, I had to identify at each stage in the process what were the main obstacles and how I can overcome those. And finally, I think the last theme, and one that I'm most grateful for, was this idea of self-reflection. The most rewarding part of the entire journey, I would say, is self-reflection, or the opportunity to do some real introspection. The college essays in particular forced me, for the first time really in my life, to do this internal reflection and figure out what my story is, where it is that I want to go. And I credit my journey to college as the start of me really putting a voice to my history and my future. If the experiences of my life are the foundation of my being, then it was the opportunity to self-reflect on those and really understand who I am and where I'm going, that I think was most valuable. Just to recap, I would say self-advocacy and ownership, proper planning, and the ability to self-reflect and really cherish that. I encourage you all to do that. Thank you, and I hope this has been helpful.